let's begin the question and answer. We're going to start with Kylie. Kylie, okay, from KL. Oh, KL from KL. Cool. It says, how do you make a life-changing decision on your own? It seems harder to think on my own, right? Harder to, Okay, so making these life-changing decisions, it is not an easy thing. And one thing I want to learn from Esther is she had a support group. She did. She really had a support group. Remember, when we looked at that one verse, it said that she told all the Jews in that area who's really pray and fast together for 3 days, which means there is a support group that she worked with. And for us too, it doesn't mean we have a whole village with us, right? But we have good friends, family, that you can tell them and say, hey, I'm really thinking about making a big change in my life, but if you can really pray for me or think about me, or, I'd really appreciate it over the next week. Right? So making life-changing decisions is not an easy thing. And because it's a life-changing decision, it's something that takes a lot of time. But get advice from people, but it's not the decision. Okay, that's the key part there is there's people you can get advice from, people you trust, like mentors and friends, and take all the things in. And from there, if those of you who have faith can pray about it. Those of you who don't have faith can meditate about it, really think about it, write stuff down. Who is it affecting if you change this, right? So like, let's pretend it's like someone who's got a family and wants to change jobs. The family's going to be affected. Got to talk to the family, talk to the husband, talk to the wife, and see what they think too, right? It's not a decision you make on your own. Remember, the big people are thinking about more people, thinking about the others, where the people who are considered the smallest are the ones who only think about themselves and no one else. Right? So get your support group and also get good advice about the full situation. And then with all your information, you want to sit down and say, I wonder what this is. Okay? Great question, Kaylee. Let's go to the second one from PJ. This is also in Malaysia. It's Wendy Tan. And Wendy Tan says, how do you care for others more? I'm not sure if I can live for others. Okay, this is a great question, right? Because now we're talking about live for other people, and you're like, okay, but what if I can't, how do you can't just live for other people? Like, how do you care for other people that much more? And the thing you have to understand is, how do you start to like someone? Or how do you start to like others, even the people you don't even know? Because think about this. Someone who's like in the military is dying for the country, and most of the people in the country, you don't even know them, right? The thing you have to understand is you have to start to understand where joy comes from. And it does, that joy you have, I'm going to talk about this joy that comes from yourself, the individual joy, and the joy that comes from others. And there's completely different. It's really crazy if you think about the difference between the joy between the two. And you have to realize how much more powerful joy from others is. Let me give you an example. When you accomplish something, you feel good about it, right? You do. You're like, wow, I'm so happy I graduated. Oh, you did a good job, Sky. Good job. And I get joy from it, right? But there's something crazy that people have to understand is there is a joy that is much more powerful than the joy you get from yourself, and that is the joy from others that you love. And you have to experience this to understand that the joy from others is so much bigger. Once you realize this, what happens? Once you realize this, you begin to grow your sphere of influence or your sphere of relationships. It grows more and more the more and more you begin to understand the joy of others, which means that the best way to start learning how to like other people or to learn from other people is start giving and feel the joy. What kind of joy it is when you see other people you love become happy. I'll give you one example. Imagine this, and everyone can feel this. Some of you are mothers out there too. Imagine you have like a 3-4-year-old son, comes back from school, kindergarten, whatever it is, right? Preschool, and so happy. He's like, Mommy, Daddy, I drew you a picture. And they show you this picture, and it's like the ugliest picture you've ever seen. Why? Because he's like 4 years old, right? It's like, yeah. And you're like, ugh. But instead, you're like, oh, thank you so much. And you feel so much like, wow, thank you. My son gave this to me. So you're getting joy because he did something for you. So then what you do is you're like, okay, let me do something for you. So you take a magnet, you put it on the fridge, and boom, and you stick it on the fridge like, I want to see this every day. And then when you see your son look at you like this, oh, wow, and they're so happy that you put that picture on the fridge and you want to look at it every day, and you see so much joy in their face. What do you feel? you begin to experience the joy from making others happy. And you'll realize how much greater that joy is. This is why people are social, like human beings are social animals. We need that relationship. And this is why the lockdown is a very difficult thing for a lot of people, because we lose that social interaction. Okay? So my thing for you is, how do you care for others more? Start by giving and experiencing what it's like to give, that feeling of joy you get from giving to others as a start. Okay? Mickey Tan. I'm not sure where you're from. Mickey Tan is from where? It sounds like Vietnam. Tan sounds like Vietnam, or it could be Chinese, right? So Mickey Tan, it says, can we balance the interest of ourselves and others at the same time? If you don't take care of yourself, how can you save others? Great thing. Okay. So what does it mean? You know, when you say that you're thinking of others before you, that doesn't actually mean you neglect yourself, right? Because that would be a little bit extreme. Like thinking of others before you, like put it this way. Let's think about this. Let's take a look at the simplest example of eating together. Okay? If I think of others before myself, what happens is I give them the first portion and I allow them to eat. But does that mean I don't eat? And the answer is no, I just eat after them. But I'm showing, right, that these people I care about and I serve them first before myself. But it doesn't mean I don't eat, right? A lot of different things that we do, yeah, I'm showing that it's not that I care about you and I don't care about me. It's I care about you more than I care about me. This is how much I care. This is how much I want. You know, this is how much I want to show you that I care for the people around me. And when people see these types of people, they're amazing. They're like, wow, where did this person come from? Always eating last. And an interesting thing is, there's actually a book, and it's called Leaders Always Eat Last. Leaders always eat last. They're always thinking about others first, and then they eat last, making sure everyone's taken care of. Does it say leaders never eat and everyone else does and he doesn't touch it? It doesn't say that. He makes sure everyone's taken care of, and then he also takes care of himself, right? It doesn't mean you don't take care of it at all, okay? I hope that makes sense. It's not about complete neglect. It's about thinking you're still in the same situation. Both of you are still going to eat, but you're learning to care for others above yourself, and you feed them first. Right? Because, you know, have you ever seen that before where everyone's eating together and then, you know, everyone hasn't got to the table yet, but someone just like all of a sudden start putting stuff on their plate and they're start eating the food right away? You kind of look at like, man, you can't even wait for everyone. The feeling is, wow, they don't really care about anyone else. They just care about themselves, right? But we have to think to ourselves, of course, Mickey, I will say one thing is, you know, there will come a time where you're absolutely desperate, where, you know, you're dying. And it's very, very interesting because I give you two things to think about. Of course, in the time when you're about to die, that's the thing where you have to take care of yourself, obviously, right? But the thing that's kind of interesting when you look at human psychology, if someone dies for other people, they become a hero. It's like one of the things that you have to think about, and we could talk about this at another story for a Lockdown Tuesday. But the interesting thing is when someone, their morals, their moral code of how they live never changes, regardless of how low it gets and regardless of how high it gets, right? Because even on the high end, if you're so rich in this and you still give to people, then you're still like, wow, this person's amazing. The person who has, the word I want to bring up is the word integrity. Yeah, integrity is you don't change regardless. And these are the people that people respect the most. And when they respect people the most like this, these are the people that are inclined to be helped the most too, okay? Let's go to Joanna. Joanna is also Malaysia, I'm guessing, maybe not. It says, how can we gain courage to do what we should do? It's not easy to sacrifice ourselves for others. And like, you know, it's kind of the same as the other question there too. It's hard to sacrifice for other people, and that's why you have to start small, which means sacrificing little things like you eat before me. You go through the door before I go through the door, right? Here, I bought something for you. You eat first, and then I'll eat next. There's small things we learn to sacrifice first, right? You have to receive the joy of giving to other people. And when you have that joy, you're able to kind of grow the sphere of your heart bigger and bigger and bigger. So to gain courage, step by step, little at a time. Right? All these people who are so super courageous, they don't do it in one shot. It's something that has grown over their lifetime, right? So for Joanna, I say the exact same thing to you is step by step, little by little, just start with the little things. I'll let you eat before I do. I serve you before I eat, right? All right, so start little by little and gain the courage step by step. Thank you very much, Joanna. Donna Velasquez, I'm figuring this is from the Philippines. When having a decision to explore and learn on your own and not including others, is that being selfish? And the answer is no. No. Why? Because not everyone is supposed to take the same path as you. If they're on the same path as you, it's a different thing. But not everyone takes the same path, and not everyone's at the same part of their journey as you either. And there are some things that you have to do on your own. It's kind of similar to what Esther did, right? Even though Esther got people to support her, she still went off on her own. And she prayed and she fasted on her own for something that was for her. So doing it on your own, that's not being selfish. It's when you exclude in all situations. Right? Because there's a time for everything. There's a time to be alone. There's a time to do it together. Sometimes you make decisions together. Sometimes you have to do it by yourself. Sometimes you have to leave your parents out. Say, hey Mom, Dad, I got to do this on my own. And it's something that there are times you have to do it on your own. That's not selfish. It's just knowing your path that you're on. Okay? And not everyone's on the same path at the same place. Good question, Donna. Last question for today. From Casey in Singapore. Casey in Singapore says, how to ensure you are taking control of your life without mistake. And that is a mistake, right? The mistake is to think that you could take control of your life without mistake. And this comes to one of the things that especially, a lot of people just in general, we have the fear of failure, right? We have the fear of going through oh my gosh, I screwed up. Why did I do this? And the thing you have to understand about this is, I talked about this in one of the lectures before in the Bubble Talks, maybe like 2 months ago, but you have to not be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are going to come no matter what. How to ensure you're taking control, which means that you consciously make the decision yourself and you take full responsibility. And what does it mean, full responsibility? Full responsibility means whether it's good or bad, whether you make mistakes or you're successful, both belong to you. And that's a responsible person. The worst thing it could be, a fully responsible person is not someone who only accepts what they did right and then neglects and says, no, I didn't do that wrong. Part of taking control of your life is also taking full responsibility of your mistakes too. And you have to realize, we're going to make mistakes along the way. Some will be big, some will be small. But as someone who takes control, you fully take responsibility for it, however big or small it is. That's taking control. Taking control is not doing it without mistake. Taking control is taking full responsibility regardless of what happens, but it was your decision that you consciously made and deliberately made yourself, okay? Great question, Casey. All right, and that's the last question today for today's Lockdown Tuesday. I hope that everyone had a wonderful time today. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is Sky. Make sure you click subscribe, obliterate that like button, leave some comments, and support us on Patreon. All right, catch you later.